Okay everyone, this is mooneydashcam, and we are here with the famous Notebook. We're going to be talking about what articles at the time called a geriatric gang. The oldest person was 61 years old back in 2012, so he's 10 years older now, so he's probably still in jail, to be honest. It was a gun bust between three outlaw biker gangs: the forbidden ones, the dirty ones, and the troublemakers. Alright, let's flip this around and get into it. Okay, first location that we are going to is a tattoo shop. Well, what was a tattoo shop at 9108 Rockaway Beach Boulevard. If I didn't mention before, we're in Rockaway Beach right now. And yeah, first stop is a tattoo parlor where they sold a lot of guns out of. They ran a bunch of tattoo shops, not ran, but kind of, were around all the time and sold a lot of guns and drugs out of a lot of tattoo shops. But this was just for the gun bust. We're actually, oh no, it's the next block down. So we're very close. But back in 2011, I don't know the specifics of where this happened, but it's very well could have happened here. In 2011, 5 Queens cops were injured by gang members. This is Queens, by the way, if you didn't know. By biker gangs. They were beaten up with baseball bats, brass knuckles, and knives outside a tattoo shop. So this could have been it. And some of these members of these biker gangs got what you call bang out patches, and it's 2 guns crossed over, and that means that you assaulted a cop. So a cop assault happened in 2011. They all have the patches. I think they kind of put it together. But we're pulling up. I feel like I passed it, but I know I didn't. Oh, right here. Right at this bus stop. I want to pull up on the sidewalk with this hydrant. So this right here, these 2 places, because that's 9108A and 9108B, were the tattoo shop. Right here you see Rockaway Beach Boulevard, if I remember correctly. It's a pretty cool shop. But yeah, this is where guns were sold out of. Oh, there's me. Next location that we're going to is pretty close by. It's actually Scott Branigan's house. I'll put up a picture of him. It's the older guy that was in the group. It looks pretty crazy. Typical of what you'd imagine an outlaw biker would look like. But okay, let's get into this case a little bit. They were charged with firearms trafficking because he ended up taking guns across state lines. I believe he was coming from Florida with some of the guns that he had. We'll get into the kind of guns they had, because it's pretty wild. It wasn't a regular couple pistols and stuff like that. So they're charged with firearm trafficking. 4 of them couldn't make it to court because they had to go to the hospital because they weren't fit to be in the courtroom. I don't know if this is really so true. I think it might be a tactic to get a little bit of sympathy from the jury, or postpone the case and stuff like that. But I'll tell you their excuses. So Scott Branigan, whose nickname was Spider, 61 at the time, high blood pressure and a bad heart. That's why he was in the hospital. He actually attended court from his hospital bed over the phone. Samuel Moya, 44, he needed to detox from heroin. Same thing for Frank Miranda, nickname was Afro. He was 50. He needed to detox from heroin also. Then this one's pretty funny. Supreme President of the Forbidden Ones, Jose Perez, nicknamed Rusty, 49 years old, needed sleep apnea treatment. Now, I don't know if you guys know what sleep apnea is, but it's really bad snoring that could cause other health issues. It can lead to heart disease. It can lead to, low energy throughout the day. So it's not something you should joke about, but I don't know if it's something that you need to miss court over and go to the hospital for. It's not an urgent issue. But yeah, so those are all their BS excuses for that. So they sold weapons at tattoo parlors and tattoo parlors across Queens and Brooklyn. One of their locations that they, one of their little clubhouse hangout spots was 15 Thames Street in Brooklyn, in Bushwick. Now, that was a 3-story loft. There were tenants that had apartments above them. 2 of the tenants never came back to the apartment because they were assaulted by the gang, all right? One of the tenants, a 25-year-old, they interviewed him, and he said, I loved them, you know? I would hang out with them and drink with them and BS. So I guess it's kind of how you look at the situation and if the gang likes you or not, if you're cool with them. So yeah, they were a little bit of a menace on that block. In that place, they had a cannon. I'm gonna add the picture of the cannon aimed at the door for any intruders, right? I don't think, is it really for protection? I don't think so. You gotta put a fuse in the cannon, load it up. It took 50 caliber shells, put it in there and light it and run away to get someone at the door. I think it was probably just funny for them, but they did keep it loaded, which is crazy. But all right, let's get into the situations they were in. Undercover officers purchased 41 firearms and thousands of rounds of ammunition from them, including the old-time cannon for $2,000 that came along with fuses and the 50 caliber shells. Let's see here. The cannon was always locked and loaded aimed at the door, which I mentioned. I guess it was to protect the place. It seems ridiculous, like I said. They smuggled firearms from Florida. Apparently, Scott Branigan's wife knew nothing about this whole situation. We're going to get into the wife in a second here. Okay, we will be pulling up to Scott Branigan's house in a little while here. In 2 minutes, my GPS says. His house is at 534 Beach 128th Street. Right by Bay Channel Drive, which is ahead of us. There's the bay is right there. Straight ahead, if I was to break through that little seawall, we'd be in the bay. So the reason why we're going to his house is because he sold guns out of his garage and also manufactured explosives on his second floor. Now that's pretty crazy, right? It gets even crazier. His wife ran a daycare out of the first floor. So sandwiched in between the garage and the second floor was a daycare, a gun selling operation and an explosive making operation. Seems pretty normal to me. The wife claims she knew nothing about this, which I feel is almost impossible to know nothing about this. Your husband is clearly, just by a glance, you know the guy's a biker, and he's involved in an outlaw gang, and how do you hide all that from your wife? That's running a daycare. So, some of the weapons that they sold were AK-47s with armor-piercing rounds, Tech 9s, 9mm, a Kel-Tec 9 folding rifle, a Taurus 410 caliber revolver, which they call the Judge. I'll put up a picture of that. It's a pretty ridiculous revolver. 243 caliber rifle. I might be saying these a little wrong. I'm not exactly a gun nut here. With a night vision scope and the cannon, the 50 caliber cannon. All right, we're on the block now. It's a little bit up. Now, I'll show you the picture of what the house used to look like. I had to do some investigating here because after Hurricane Sandy, that literally wiped out this whole area, connected, I'll put a picture of the map here, connected both waterways over this spot of land right here. Most of these houses have been completely renovated, lifted, or they're totally new. So this house in particular is not at all what it used to look like. So I'll give you the little pointers of how I found this. I sat out here for a little while doing some investigating. It is this blue house on the right here with the white trim sticking out a little bit. Pull up right here. That house. All right, take a good look at that tree right there. That tree right there is pretty much the only reason that I knew that this house was this house. And the roof line of that house right behind it. Yeah, this is it. This is where the guns were sold, the explosives were built. Right out of here, and a daycare. I wish the house looked the same. It was a little brick house, but that house looks the same. You kind of get the reference of what it would look like. This is it. After search warrants were issued, I believe they found 20 more guns, 7 improvised explosive devices. Here's the block here. Pretty quiet block. There's the truck, say hi. Right there's the water. All right, back to the truck. So during the search warrant, I forgot to mention, besides the 20 firearms and the 7 IEDs they recovered, they also got heroin, cocaine, and weed. So they weren't just dealing with guns, they were dealing with drugs also, as most gangs do. Most of this information was from an informant. The guy Rusty, Jose Perez, the supreme president of the Forbidden Ones, actually drove with him to go buy like a Kalashnikov Russian rifle. So yeah, conclusion is, know who your clientele is.